Hello, good afternoon, listeners. It's me, Sulayman Ben Suwareh, coming back on Facebook Live. If you can hear me loud and clear, just send me any message on the comments box whilst we share this video. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Today is Saturday, unusual day, coming on live on the Open Gambia platform. Today is the 20th of January 2024, and the time's just gone about 27 minutes to 6 o'clock in the evening in Birmingham, England. I know today should have been a day we talk about removing the dictator, but just tells the priorities we have now in our society, because we have a government who would not want to remember removing the dictator because of the dictatorship. The government in place is just the same government that had the dictator in place. It's unfortunate. That's the fact. But what are we talking about today? I am going to talk about something that, with my perspective, this is my opinion on the performance of the Scorpions. May I first say that I think they have done tremendously well, and from my views, I think I can make my case for that. And the discussion will be social, political. It's not going to be tactical. It's not, because I'm not that much into football. But just to give us a little background, the reason I'm not into football is I had to control myself, because my passion, when I get into things, I really throw everything into it. And as I was growing up, as any Gambian kid we have played football, and I lost interest a little bit when I left primary school, starting to grow up a bit. I started to hang out around elders or grown-ups rather than being with my peers. That's where I formed my political view and my thinking. And it was not around football. But that does not mean that I never had passion for the game. I had passion for the game later on, and in fact, it was for support. Where I belong, and that was supporting Bakau. That was supporting the Gambia, what we used to have, the Gambia 11, before it became the Scorpion. And it was actually during one of those incidents that I was at the stadium. 1992, the riot that happened at the stadium there, and I was part of the people that took part in the riot, and it wasn't healthy at all. I realized that I behaved very badly. It wasn't healthy. It's hooliganism, and the best way to deal with it was just to avoid getting involved. But that does not mean that I don't care about it. I care anything Gambia, and I care anything anywhere that Gambia can showcase themselves, and I support Gambia in anything Gambia does. For the best interest of the people. That's why I said I'm not going to talk about tactical, but I'll tell guys that soldiers know tactical, and you'll be surprised the similarity in the football field and in the battlefield, and it's very similar. I tell you what, formations that you put in the football, that's the same thinking that goes into a battlefield. The psychological warfare, the mind games, the appraisal of your your counterparts, the psychology of not philosophy and psychology of not underestimating your part, your opponent, and looking at the weakness of your opponent, knowing when to use your strength, when to withdraw back to your defensive position, when to choose to attack or when to choose to apply a defensive mechanism. It's similar. Then total, if someone puts a person in it, they will have it. The reason saying this, the reason saying this too is, I'll come to it later, is to explain. I see people condemning a lot of people sharing their views on how the coach should have played the game. I think at times, um, yes, some people might overreact, but I think some of these people that comment, they are doing it very genuinely, and I think they have a lot, to share. And these are feedbacks that, in fact, the coach would put into consideration, because some of these people I know, they have passion for the game, they've been following the game since childhood, and they still follow the game and they understand the game. And it seems whatever they've been calling up, they've been calling it right. That's just a view to share here. The bit I am going to talk about would be about leadership. And in this matter, leadership matters in where we are now and in anything, but especially in this game. I think there's a point scoring going on. There are conflicted people giving opinions based on who they support, or are they friends of the sports minister, or are they friends of the GFF? These things are going on. But I want to point out first about leadership and what my brother have posted today, Alaji Barrow, about leadership and fellowship. About leadership and fellowship. And there are school of thoughts that tend to debate these positions, or leadership or fellowship, which matters, or which is which in the order of things and so on. But I think depends, but my school of thought would be leadership always. Leadership always. I will come to the fellowship. We cannot expect our football to do better when everything Gambia is not doing better. We cannot have football in isolation to do better when everything else in that country it's not doing well, or is below expectation. The matter of fact is, as I keep on saying, a fish starts to rot from the head. That's why when you go to the market to examine the fish, what you do, you look at the gills of the fish to see how fresh it is. We don't expect to have what we have in that country. People we have in position of leadership, the characters of people we have in position of leadership, and we expect, trickling down that football will be an exception, that we will do well. And we don't expect football to do well when it's not led by people with competence, people with integrity, people with the foresight, to drive it forward. And if I say people, I don't see absolutely every individual, but as an organization, we know that they are not composed right, and they have failed severely, and this is where the weakness would be pointed at. And where I would talk about fellowship is, what do? We cannot just keep on blaming leadership. That's where the fellowship comes in. But from the fellowship as well, what comes out there is the leadership that comes out from the fellowship. I'll give an example here. I'll go back into politics here. Senegal is not really different from the Gambia. What is different in Senegal is, within the fellowship, there comes a leadership that take responsibility and try to do better than the national expectations, or the national the political leaders. And in this case is when the two-party state continue to take Senegal in that trajectory they did, that the PS, PDS, and Macky Sall came from that school of thought. But what happened is, within the fellowship, Pastef came about. Pastef came about, middle management, technocrats came together and sacrificed to form a movement, an anti-establishment movement, to take the leadership and took the people with them. And they have proven something, that politics should not be about the politicians stealing money from the coffers, your own money, and giving it to you. Instead, it's the people investing in what they believe in order to get the leadership running that they believe in, the leadership that approach them not on tribal grounds, not on any sectoral grounds, but on policy directives, something that convinces them that these people have our interests and these people have the interests of the nation, and we can see the future with this group. And that is why the Senegalese people decided to put their money where their mouth is, because of they found that leadership. That leadership came from the fellowship. But not only that, we don't expect people just to get up and do something right. And if that happens, that's catastrophe, because any revolution, any demonstration, any movement or anything else would have to have that leadership. For one reason in the Gambia, this is where we failed. We failed to have that leadership, that national leadership that dictates our future, or that's lead. For the interests of our future. And in the fellowship, we failed to have people committed to take up and do something different. And this will come into the case of the GFF. We all know that the GFF is not constituted right. We have seen the way they went around to be elected. You see, democracy would be saying, oh, it's about choice. But there's something about choice. What choice are available to you? We have seen how they monopolize power. A bunch of corrupt individuals, they came in, and they are diverse for that matter. They use tribal, they use political in order to maintain themselves. The interest group, the Kababajos, the 5 former mayor and the others. And they went to their different constituencies. They win their constituencies based on tribal sentiments, based on political sentiments, and they came together. And they gang up onto anybody else that will come and might deliver something different, or who promise at least to deliver something different. We have seen the competition between the two Kababajos group and the young chap that was running to lead the group, and how it came out. How can a group like Kababajos group come out, renounce and winning that vote in the numbers they did? And if the fellowship did not come together to look at the interests, to put down these tribal sentiments, to put down any political considerations. Because people, you see one of your executive members from your political party or someone affiliated to your political party come and appeal to you, or someone from your constituency, come on tribal, they say, oh, we need to do this, we need to stop these people, we need to stop these people. The same group will continue to lead. They don't have any interest in leading. For the betterment of the people, they have interest in leading to keep jobs and to make, to make themselves better. And we have seen that fact in the way they have managed the institution since they took over. We have seen this term, how they in fact manipulated the reports with FIFA. Not one single pitch out of 4 or 5 they meant to build, about $11 million. An example of this, someone has referenced that Sadio Mane spent $500,000 in order to build that stadium he built. But we have seen what they did to the KG5. We have seen what they did in Gunjur. We have seen what they did in other places that Birkama. We see what they did in Bakau. All those places that need to build those infrastructure for the grassroots to develop. Now, if you can't do that, if you cannot develop a grassroots, how do you expect to win a competition. But we'll get to that. We have seen the way they travel, the composition of their travel. And knowing their history, these people don't even have passion for the game. These people don't even have passion for the game. How much 11 million would have done? I mean, how much FIFA give these people in order for them to run their administration? The figures are there. Different from a special project. This was a special project to build stadiums, mini stadiums or football fields. Not one been delivered because all the contracts failed to be delivered because of what? It's not only one contract that was failed. All the contracts means that the committee or people that run these things went on giving this contracts to the wrong people. And why would they do it? Give it to the wrong people because of their kickbacks. We have to address that. These people have not innovated. They don't have the business mind. They don't have the leadership. Innovated to see, in fact, how to raise their revenue. How many Gambians are in the diaspora that would have paid for the jerseys? Not probably even they are into football, but it is because of to support the Gambia Football Federation. They still cannot devise a way, a simple manner that Gambians can reach out and buy their jerseys. How much they could have raised. But no. All they do, they're lazy, they go, ask for the Saudis. We don't even know how much the Saudis gave them. We don't know how much, we know how much FIFA gave them because of the accountability in FIFA. But we have seen how they manipulated and presented to FIFA about this thing. Mauritania, go and check at the FIFA project in Mauritania, FIFA project in other countries. They are far more successful than what we have in the Gambia. Nothing actually, we have nothing successful in the Gambia. How do we expect to develop football? And why would we blame the players for their what some people will constitute as poor performance? I don't think it is, and I'll make my case. But here too, simple things asked. Simple things. If you cannot build a website and a distribution network, we already see. Most cases, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just have to develop our initiatives. For instance, in the United Kingdom, you might have one or two people doing courier services. Gambians already established, trustworthy, running their own businesses is just to get them in partnership. I give an example as Genyoro. Genyoro could have distributed for the United Kingdom. Postal services, all you do is send it to bulk to Genyoro, whatever percentage or then agreements you have, and Genyoro take the burden to make sure any Gambia within the United Kingdom will buy it. And there'll be someone in Sweden, there'll be someone in Norway, there'll be someone in Denmark, there'll be people in the different states in America would volunteer to do that. Some would even volunteer just to do it. Not to, but others will have their businesses because that's what they are already doing it. It's not difficult. It's not rocket science. But they will not think they are not thinking about these things. They are not thinking about these things. Now, we move on to the other aspect of leadership. I went for the GFF. I tried to explain what we have in the GFF, but again, to make recommendations. Look, if the core leadership fail, there should be subsidiary leadership from the people themselves to look at themselves to say, look, either we have to determine that we elect the right people, hence we fail to do that nationally. We should try to make sure at least we find a way to salvage certain sectors. We cannot just let everything crumble in that country. We should try to give hope to our people, hope to the generation to come. It's our responsibility. Wherever, if we are into sport, there are so many Gambians, passionate Gambians who have the knowledge and who might even do better. Give them the chance. But these people will revolt, the GFF will revolve. From Kababayo would be five, from five would be someone else, and it would be the same kabudu, just as we have in our politics, and that's where the problem would be. That's why I said, if we cannot determine to change them, let's form something to change them. The young people should be involved. Women should be involved to make sure that change. Let me come on to the second part. I want to keep it brief. The second part of leadership to blame is governance. Governance from the government itself. And this is where we'll call it politics. You see, this is my view here. Football, sports is so much important. And what I hate about this is when we talk about sports, we only refer to football. Gambia, we are a small nation of 2.5 million probably, because we don't even manage to have a census. We cannot even manage to have our census. Just imagine. That's why I said leadership matters. But let's agree that we have 2.5 million population, because population fluidity now are there. If we find good players within the boundaries of the Gambia, I'll tell you their nationality will become Gambian. Nobody will oppose them. It's not political. If we have the best players, nobody would bother where their parents come from. And we have seen the proof of players migrating to other nations where they can benefit, they can further their career. Nothing wrong with it. People will have they have their heritage. People go to other countries to adopt nationalities. Does not mean that they abandon their heritage. It's a matter of bettering themselves. Where we have population 2.5 million, sports have a lot of benefits, and competitive sports at national level have a lot of benefits. It's a way of selling our nation, a way of attracting tourists, way of engaging. The galvanized and activate the population. To have something that they will look up to or do or participate for that oneness that we keep on calling it. But sports now is part of an economic development plans. We have seen Saudi Arabia, after the McKinsey report, after the consultation for the McKinsey report, with that consultation, what came out of it? What people call sports washing. No, yes, sports washing for their human rights system, but no. People are looking at how much they're spending now. That's something they try. This is what they're trying to diversify. You see, because they need to diversify into tourism, not only Islamic tourism. They need to diversify to get in a bigger chunk of the tourism. This thing now, they have to try to offer different things and a different phase. Gambia, this is where it's important. Sports is very important. But until we do one thing, I believe, we need a structural change. We need to do a structural change in order to reduce the political interference. You see this, when the Scorpion did well in Cameroon, the Minister of Youth Sports went on to try to take advantage of the victories or the achievements. GFF tried to take the advantage of the achievements, but they never credited it to the footballers. They never credited to the Gambian nation as a whole that came together to make sure we have what we had. Everybody tried to own up to the achievements, politicize it and others. But we cannot take out politics from football, because look, I know we tend to take politics as a negative term. It's not. Politics will decide anything we do in that country. Even our burial have to be decided politically, because of those graveyards have to be demarcated. And there's a political, there's someone in cabinet responsible for that land demarcations. Anything we do have an element of politics. Depends on how you utilize this. And this is where I suggest this. I'm going to keep it brief. I believe in order to develop our youths in sports, we need to find, whatever you call it, we need to find some of a council, a sports council that is solely responsible for the administrative of sports. Then under that sports council, we have the committees. Just as we have the National Olympic Committee, we have the Gambia Football Federation, we have the Gambia Volleyball Federation, we have the other sports that are needed to be developed. The Gambia Basket, I don't think even we have a basketball federation. Why can Gambia prosper in basket? We are doing very well in volleyball, but we don't even, it's not even been noticed. All the sports can generate something. There are so many youths, probably 30% of the youths, their potential would be in sports. Their potential would be in sports, not in academia, not in technical skills. We have to accept this. Or 10%, I don't know. Because we don't even have a census. But people responsible, this is why we need the structures to be looked at, so that we can develop it from the grassroots, and every sport, not one sport to be left behind. Because every sport will cater for a demographic or certain people to be supported. And I said, we need it for the youths, we need it for the country, and we need it for the economy. In that sense, we don't need that Minister of Youth Sports. I don't think so. We might have a directorate somewhere under the Vice President's office or somebody who looks after the sports committee and so on and so forth. What we need for the youths would be a youth ministry, a standalone ministry. Youths are so much important. They are the workforce. They are the future leaders. They are the workforce now and the future workforce. How do we develop them? They are the majority of our population. We are a very youthful country. How do we develop them? Why would we continue the mindset of just strangling the youths into sports as if that's what it is? Until we change the mindset that youths are far more than sports. Sports is so much important to stand alone and to be catered for. And youths are so much important in order for survival. As a backbone of our population, we need a dedicated, a special ministry that would be funded to do what? And what that ministry would be. That would be the Ministry of Skills Development, Entrepreneurship, and Voluntary Services. We need a country where people are skillful. We need a skillful force. We need a country where the youths are skillful. We need a country where the youths have an entrepreneurship mind. People that had the potential to going towards entrepreneurship to meet their potential, to have the advisory bureaus, they have the financial institutions that will support them. But we need generation of youths that would believe in volunteer for the betterness of our country. In that voluntary bit, that's where the patriotism will be built, and Gambians should see themselves. That needs a dedicated ministry for that, for another day. But as I said, for the Ministry of for sports, we need to find a framework that will reduce the political interference. But that doesn't mean that it's completely going to be cut off from government. Cannot be. We cannot cut off sports from government. But we need to structure it better so that it will perform better. Coming to it again, when we look at the technical skills necessary, then if we have these structures, then we talk about the capacity that's needed in order to fill these positions, be it at the committee level, be it at let's take an example. Hence, we're talking about GFF. What technical, what do they require in order to hold positions in that? To fill the capacity gap in those areas. We have to look at that. They should have the technical skills necessary. They should have the leadership skills necessary. And above all, they should be people with competence. As we say, competence in totality, but integrity as well, to lead that organization. If we look at it, there's a need to find way to develop the grassroots. You see, when the coach came out to push back for all the criticism coming, he said, look, you don't even have a proper league, which is a point. Which is a point. If we don't have a proper league, how do we expect to create a conveyor belt that will produce the players we needed? We cannot depend on the people playing outside alone. How much time do they have to play among themselves? Yes, they have the exposure, they build the experience, they have the better skills, and so on. But does not mean that even they have better skills than homegrown or people who have not had the opportunity yet to go and showcase their skills somewhere else. That's why we need to strike this balance. We need to strike this balance. We have seen, and if we look at comparisons, I will try and do a little bit of comparison studies with Senegal. We can see how did Senegal manage to get to where they are today. In the case of the Gambia, the grassroots, if you look at the history of football, the Gambia and Senegal was the same. Nawetan used to feed the clubs. And literally you used to have about 5 clubs in Senegal. And literally have 5 clubs in the Gambia. Giraffe and all those, this in Wakam and so on. We have to look at that. We have to think about our history again. How did we sustain some of these teams? Sports Authority used to run a team. Masose came and had a business run a team. Fisco Konati run a team. Cox was run by from Commercial Bank. What do you call it again? Njai. We have to look at all these things. What do we do? What incentive do we do for businesses in order to take up a social responsibility on trying to develop the skills of footballers? This is somewhere we need to look at. The homegrowns are very poor. They don't have access to jobs. The game is not paying them much. But again, they will need a career apart from football in case they have not make it to the professional levels. This was something, I'll tell you, for example, someone like Axigai became a director of audit at the Ports Authority. Axi came to Ports because of football. We have to look at ways again to work with schools. We have seen the example of Fadagov. We have seen how competitive inter-school sports were, how competitive it was. It was the area that the athletes used to come out from through the inter-schools. Fadagov had a special program. And we have seen this Augustinians and other things that he got involved in. As I said, not only sports come with discipline and came with other things. And I can tell you now, with even sports education in many aspects, you find that the best leaders in educational institutions now, you'll be surprised they were sports personals because of the training they have, the discipline they need, the psychological challenges they have to go through, the motivation they have to carry forward and everything. They'll become good educations. We have seen that. The Jeffrey Arches used to be known for sports teacher, education teacher, and others. You go to universities today. You go to schools, independent schools today. You find their principals or mistresses were former sports students. But because of the development in sports, they got to where we are. We have to look at that. This is all part of the grassroots. From the secondary schools, we used to be an incubator to produce talent. We used to have the Nawetans to produce talent. We have the week, the divisional matches for second and third division, these things to do it. How were they sustained? Because they were companies or philanthropists or business people that had to pick up to support the football things. What should government do to encourage these things to happen? It shall be done. But a new phenomenon came in, which is the sports academics. We have few now in the Gambia. We have the Tijan Masanisis, we have the Ibusilas, we have, Willie Abrahams. We have other people investing into sports development as a business model. What incentive can we give to these people? It's part of, you see, our tax should not be aggressive in collecting. Our tax should be, in fact, we have to strike a balance. Our tax should be about incentives as well, because we'll take it another way. If we create a tax system that gives incentive to investors, let's say now we are talking about the sports academic, we can have most of these Gambian players who are who are in the international now, or retiring from the international, would start to develop themselves. By the time they're in the industry, they start to look at their future. And their future would be, how do I keep myself within the sports and able to survive as a business model? Let me go for an academy. But there's an incentive there. These incentives are needed in order to develop the game. There's so much that is needed to do. As I said, the academics need a business model. And again, even the independent schools, as given examples in the United Kingdom, the education sector have even schools that are dedicated to developing sports discipline. We have something they call the academics, academy in the sense that accounting firm might choose to run a school, and the ethos of the school will be business studies and accounting. You see, a supermarket, in fact, let's say a retail outlet might decide to run at a school. The ethos would be retail, related. The science and other things, they can run their own schools. And because of, as I said, the independent schools in the Gambia can be supported with tax incentive, where they will have something like what Father Goff had, to develop and give opportunity to our sports youths. Because again, we don't want our youths to easily, it's stiff as you go up. It's not meant for everyone. There's a bit of luck, talent and everything in order to play outside of the Gambia. We don't want their hopes to be in one basket of thinking, I will be a professional footballer. No. I'll be a professional footballer, but again, they have all the talents that they can nurture, the academic and other things, so that if it did not work out in sports, they can do something else. That's all the things they need to do. Now, let's come to the performance. I want to try to do a brief comparative studies here. And I know when I'm going to look at Senegal as a comparative studies, and this is based on history. And I know they have a bigger population, they have a bigger economy and all the things. But Nigeria have a bigger population, biggest economy and everything. But why do you think they are not winning the World Cup? Why do you think they're not winning the World Cup? Why do you think Senegal is doing better than them? These are the things we need to look at. And the reason I'm doing the comparative studies, there's a bit of history that we can look at parallels. There's something that we aspire, to do as they did, because of they became a success story. And by doing that, we will understand our current performance, and appreciate how much we have achieved. But it does not mean that that's the best we can do. We can do better. And we can in a sense, and look at it and certain put a portion of the blame on where it's necessary, and mostly, as I believe, and many people have been commenting, that the main blame would be in the administration, the main blame would be in the governance of the sports, because, as you said, it's leadership, led. The performance comparative studies with Senegal, development of football in Senegal. We look at the grassroots. We used to have the same way of grassroots development. The football calendar, technically the same thing. They had their Nawetans, and they had their schools, and they had their league matches, and so on and so forth. That's how they went on. And they did not, and I can tell you this, even we had a better stadium before them. We had the Independence Stadium around 83 or 4, and they had it after about 86, 2 years after us. They had the Stade Amitié. I'll come to something about infrastructure a bit. They had Amitié. But before, they had this thing in Grand Dakar. I forgot the name of the stadium. I think after it's called Stade Leopold, but it was another name. And most of the other, that was one thing. We had our box bar, which was to the population of the Gambia. It was comparative, the same thing as they had. They never had their regional football field were not better than what we had. It was just a mere field and so on. Did they take sports seriously than us? No. They used to struggle in to win the zone twos. They used to do far better than us, obviously, for many reasons again, but does not mean that we are not doing well. We started exporting, in fact, international players, Biri and others before them. And so individual sports was like individualistic. Really, the development was more of an individualistic than a collective as a team. But they had something. Two things started to do the change. Was when they introduced academics and they had their diaspora. You know, there's a program going on BBC right now about football in France. You know, a catchment area in Paris have produced more players than ever. That's no wonder that's in that urban area, in that catchment area, is where migrants are. And obviously, there's a reason for that. I mean, if I've not listened to the program, but I assume the program would be the culture of children running around playing within the estate. I mean, football would be naturally to them, you know, and the competitiveness of that play of the game, and that's what developed them, and the aspirations of getting out of poverty and all the other things. That's why mainly people from a poorer background tend to do well in football than the people from affluent background. Even you see, professional footballers are not producing offsprings that match their talent. Not Beckham, not George Best, not Maradona, not all these people. None of them produce anything close, not Pele, close to them. But it seems that the more hunger you have for the game, the better you perform. I mean, all these things are something that might inform it. But Senegal, obviously, we can see where changes came up. Let me share some statistics I looked at. For this program to help the study. Okay, these are the statistics I came across. Senegal first appeared in the Africa Cup of Nations in 1965. 1965. Now, just imagine the Gambia just qualified in 2021 and 2023 twice. Senegal first qualified in 1965. I'll bring this into perspective. 1965, where they finished second in their group and lost 1-0 to Ivory Coast to finish in 4th place. After a group stage exit at the AFCON, 3 years later, they would not qualify for the tournament until 1986. People that will do the studies will tell you, why did they, from 1965, they never qualify again till 1986? You see, We have to understand people's trajectory in order to compete with them. And we have to learn, if we need to progress, we need to learn from other people what they did best and learn what their mistakes are. The Senegal hosted the AFCON in 1992. Again, Gambia was still struggling to go for semi-finals at the what do you call it? At the Zone 2 tournaments, and the nation finally won AFCON in 2021. Senegal finally won in 2021. They started to participate in 1965. I mean, what are the comparisons here? Is it asking ourselves why we did not do well in 1965? We have to understand our population makeup. We have to understand this. We have to be realistic at times. But something has changed for us for now to be qualifying back to back. And if you look at the change to have, we can see that evidence in Senegal's achievement in order Senegals to be where they are today. What do that tell us? That we need to do a little bit more in order to catch up to where Senegal is. That's why when we look at our match with Senegal, that's another bit. We have to look at the circumstances surrounding that match and then appreciate how much the boys have done. But let's look at this. If something have changed in the Gambia, if you look at the infrastructure Senegal have developed around that time, the new stadium is new. As I said, they had the Amitié and the other regional this thing. It's not the stadium people touting that gave them this win. It's something else. I think that thing else is the academies. We have seen in 1992 when they started to perform. Most of the people that performed well were homegrown that went through academies and end up in France. We can see the likes of even before 1992, we have seen similarly they were developing football the way we are developing football. But the minute they started to invest in academies, and now academies have a complete business model, it's huge. That's why we need to encourage our academy. Human resource development. We need to develop infrastructure in order to do that. But the other achievement too, as I said, we related to their diaspora presence, especially in France. Many players were born in France, and they had opportunity, born to Senegalese parents, and they had opportunity to be developed from there on, and probably they inherited some of the genes of the athleticism of black people or Africans for that matter. But something interesting, we had a shock, something we might have to think of a shock, that Gambia qualified to the Junior World Cup. And what happened after that? You see, when we achieve something, we need to consolidate on that. What did we do to qualify? What happened to those players that qualified? Do we have structures that maintain them? Do we have structures that brought up other players, in numbers, in order to sustain to feed the clubs as they go on and so on? These are things that we need to have a look at to understand it better. But what we say, what I'm trying to put in here is, it's not luck that gives it to us. It's not prayers that will give it to us. We might be people of faith, and obviously we'll consider prayers when we do things. Luck is an element of life. We consider luck part of that, but the greater percentage is our performance. And our performance will depend on how we manage our resources and how we invest in order to bring up, to produce the grade of players that will be needed, to achieve what they achieve. If you look at the recent Gambia recent development of football or performance. As we said, we've seen Senegal obviously are getting better because they are consolidating on from the gains they had. Gambia, we got better than we were, and the coach have been playing a trick here, trying to attribute our success to him. We are not going to deduct that. He was there when we had the success, but that doesn't mean that if we had other coaches, we would not have been successful. There are many contributing factors that give us the success than the coach himself. And I think, in fact, the failure of us getting there, some of it might be tracked from the coach. As I said, I've already declared that I am not a football tactician, and I am not going to indulge in that. But I have seen people have respect for, who have passion for the game, who knows the game, who follows the game, and I think I agree on some of their observations. Then the coach would, if he want to take the glory, he have to take part of the blame as well. But again, it's not fair to blame him for everything that's gone wrong. No, most of the things that gone wrong is leadership itself, and we'll look at that. As he said, the boys, the Scorpion have started to gain something. They qualified for the AFCON. Wow. They qualified and they went to the quarterfinals. And they requalified again. Back to back. As I said, when Senegal qualified in 1965, they did not qualify again till, God knows, when they qualified in 1965, they did not qualify again till 1986. That's the comparisons. But after them, they started to do well. They managed to host and went on and went on. Let me come on, before I move forward to that, let me come on when I spoke about infrastructure, I missed something. I am not subscribing. I am not subscribing that Gambia should have a stadium mirror to what Senegal has. We have to be realistic. Economically, I think we have, I would invest more into education, more into the university, more into secondary schools, more into our primary schools systems, than to put over $100 million or $300 million into one stadium. I am not saying that we should not develop our stadiums. For people pointing to Senegal Stadium, I can tell you right now, the Senegal Stadium is not running at profit. Government, it's an arrangement they had with, I think it's a Turkish company, and it's an arrangement, and the government is bleeding economically in order to keep that, and they hardly have anything in there. How many matches, how many things they do there. You see, we have to look at those things. And we have to consider our population. I think we can maintain our stadium now, but we need to redevelop our stadium. I think we should come up with a concept of how do we build a stadium that is sustainable, that will not depend on bleeding our government coffers in order to maintain it. A stadium that can maintain itself. Stadium that can, financially, in fact, have revenue that probably to plow invest in other areas and diversify. If we are to guarantee any loans, should be in a competent business concept. That's a big land. That's a good environment. But again, I'll come to leadership. Tourism is dying down. How could we have built a hotel? If you talk about that now, people say, but look, we have so much hotels, in fact, they're not doing well. Because, again, as I said, leadership matters. Tourism is dying down. But again, offices. Is there any need for office space? Can we make sure that we build office space that the Minister of Youth and Sports will be using? Can we build office space that the GFF, many of these sports these things will be using? That will be revenue to sustain, to maintain the stadium and probably enough money to invest into stocks or other things in other, or to invest into other academics, in fact, in order to make money. Pa, mangi life, now local back. These are things we should look at. Look at the example here. If you come to the United Kingdom, you go to Chelsea. The size of the stadium is big. It's big capacity, but it's built in a way that, look, it's just a small space they use. But if we have all that space, what can we do different? That's why we need to look at those things. That's where government comes in. That's where government comes in. That's why I said infrastructure, we can look at that way. But if we just consider that the Minister of Youth and Sports had a project for 7 stadiums or 6 stadiums or 5, not one been delivered. I am not talking about the stadiums that were meant to be delivered by GFF. You see, they're running, that's the problem with it. The supporters of the Youth and Sports Ministry will be quiet, but they will go and attack the GFF. They are both failures. There was a levy, a government levy on telecoms, and that money generated was to develop stadiums. And before the elections, they said they're going to build about 7 stadiums. Kafuta, Makati, almost every region. But not one been delivered. All the contracts have failed because of what? Corruption, awarding of contracts. And the minister kept his job. And the same minister was touted to be a candidate to run a municipality. This is how unserious we are. And that's where we should point out. The same thing, we have other stadiums that are to be delivered by FIFA through the GFF. Not one have been delivered. These are things we need to do. And we can see the development sports. And the GFF failure of running a proper competent league. These are things that we need. If we do that, we start to catch up to countries like Senegal. Now let's come to our recent performance. If we consider that we qualified twice, but what problems did we, what were the circumstances surrounding the boys going to AFCON? We heard about the bonus. Look, we have to respect each other. If we respect the president, if we respect the ministers, if we respect the technocrats to be paying their per diems, we never hear them complain, oh, we have not been paid our per diem. Do you know how much per diem the Minister of Foreign Affairs collects? Because he had to spend a week in the Gambia. It's about $350 or $500 a night. Some people will look at the boys, oh, they are sacrificing. Because, oh, they are earning this, that's their worth. Why should we? We are not challenging the president to say that we are feeding him, we are clothing him, we are housing him, we are paying his bill, we are paying his children tuition, we are paying his medicals, we are paying everything for him, and every year we increase his wages. We are not complaining about that. And in expectation of having a pensions of what? And other benefits. These are young people, their career can stop at any time. And if they become wealthy, we become wealthy. Because that will be repatriated to the Gambia. The houses they build, the businesses they build, the family they take care of, friends they take care of, the spending they do, and everything else is for us Gambians. We look at it that way. But again, this is something agreed, that if you do this, we pay you this, we should have paid them. But for the excuse, oh, no, it's about, we talked about no, our diplomatic passport is not for sale. They are, diplomatic passport, issuing diplomatic passport should be based on assessment of need. Of need. I am not saying because of we have given most of these useless people diplomatic passport, we should give every Tom, Dick and Harry a passport. No, I'm not saying that. I don't support 2 wrongs to make a right. But I am again going back to the rules. We have what we call the service passport. We have what we call diplomatic passport. There's a reason we have a service passport. There's a reason we have a diplomatic passport. If someone is entitled to a service passport, that person should be given a service passport based on that merit, not of his political affiliation, based on anything else. If someone is qualified and eligible for a diplomatic passport, that person should be given a diplomatic passport. We have seen criminals, drug dealers, buying diplomatic passport. We have seen the evidence. Maligan have produced and the report. They just run around to Henry Gomez and go and pick up a passport for $5,000. If the boys entitled, if the passport is going to facilitate something and we feel that they are our ambassadors, they are representing of, it's to the interest of the nation, we should do it. If it's not negotiable, then the bonus should be treated something differently. That's one. Again, we have seen this failure to still deliver a pitch that they can train and camp. What do they have? Or today they are here, tomorrow they are here. They don't even have time to meet. They don't have time to rest between their matches, and all those things are important. And as I said, philosophy, psychology are very important in football. The philosophy we applied, the psychological game we play with others and everything, the confidence building and everything are important in doing well. We don't expect people to get tired. Flying through here, today we in Morocco, tomorrow we in Tanzania, tomorrow we in Saudi Arabia for camp. The weather and all those things needed to be put into consideration. But did they manage that well? No. Both the Minister of Sports and this thing could not even prepare those logistics. To the last minute, they had to go to Saudi Arabia to get funding, and we don't even know how much funding they have to prepare. How comes they did not prepare that before? The stadium still cannot be used because of they could not do, they still don't know what to do in order to qualify. But again, with all that, people want to blame them for putting their foot down. They have to put their foot down. And they have explained this, they have negotiated. This was due to them before. They have negotiated to the last minute. If they had not put their foot down, it would not have happened. They put their foot down for it to happen. That's their right. For God's sake. We need to support them to fight for their right. We should hold people accountable for the wrongs they do or the failures. But that's enough. Now, before coming to the program, I saw someone, forgot his name, accusing that the aeroplane was hired by a businessman and said, and he's kind of saying that it's because of corruption. Yeah, why a businessman was given the contract to hire an aeroplane, he went and hired a cheap aeroplane. You see, this is I am not saying it. Bad Demba or something like that, on face, the guy working for Ababakar Jawara, the kettle can call the pot black or whatever you call it. Yeah, someone working for Ababakar Jawara talking about credibility. But yeah, he's right if what he says is true. Another businessman had been given a contract, and this is what happened. We did not know that. GFF did not come and tell us that. Youth Sports did not come and tell us that. And he's saying this. If that's true, then proof of point is about leadership. Taking the risk of a bad aircraft. Now they went into the aircraft. On the tarmac, you find out that there's a fault. Even a car, you find out there's a fault on a car, you stopped. But in Africa, we'll take risk on people's life. And just think about Africa. People will even vote for their own to be put to the gallows. People will do that. Kababajo, I think he was in the flight. No. That tells you how much greed these people have. These are the leaders. The minute they find out that there's a problem with the flight, that's a no. But no. Because he would not, if he does that, accountability. Because something was done wrong and he should be held accountable for that. The coach, the captain took the leadership and decided to go, probably under pressure, thinking that if we start to this thing, or we already have a negative press here, or we have acted in a way some people perceive negative, or let's try to this thing, let's just try and go. Look, they took a risk. That was a risk, and they went, and luckily 9 minutes they have to turn it back. You know how scary that is. And for Kabal Bajo to have the audacity to come and say, oh, the coach, I did not experience that. Of course, you will not come and tell us the truth. We don't expect the truth from Kabal Bajo. If you even experience it, we will say because you don't want to be held accountable. The coach will not lie about his experience. The footballers will not lie about their experience. And the contradicting thing is, how do you expect that it wasn't true when you said that there's a malfunction? When the pilot, if it was not true, why did the pilot turn around? If it was risky, why did the pilot turn around? When the pilot, they cannot have the oxygen, it was heated and everything else. So you still cannot hold up to yourself and accept to be held accountable. No. They went through that trauma. Kate came back. Guess what? These same people, they want the same aircraft that was fixed on the tarmac to fly again. To fly again. Obviously. Now, you see, these players were dealing with all this trauma. Now, instead of reassuring them, by bringing the issue about, oh, you have to fly with this flight again, you don't value them. You don't value life. Your corruption, to cover up your corruption or your incompetency, you rather take the risk and with people's life. They had to deal with that. And finally, they had to be airlifted by another proper Boeing to the venue. Guys, now, comparisons now. Let's compare here with what we looked at Senegal. The sports development in Senegal, the infrastructure development, they have the facilities, the diaspora they had built on and everything else, the consolidation, the experience they have and everything. Gambia managed to play and lost the match 3-0. Who else lost a match against Senegal? Was it not Cameroon? How experienced is it not Cameroon? I think it's Cameroon. But just shows you, look, we could have lost by 1, we could have lost by 2, we lost by 3. We could have drawn, we could have win. Now, we have to consider everything that we were not playing a small, team. We are playing now what is considered the best team in Africa. The best team in Africa. Now, with all that shortcomings we have, with all the circumstances we went into the tournament, we went down 3. What portion of that blame we give to the coach? Tactical errors. The tactics been used been wrong. There's a portion of that, but probably a little portion. But the rest goes to the leadership. That's why we said leadership matter. Everything, circumstance, how we need to develop the sports. They played against Guinea. Again, last year we beat Guinea. We could have won that match. Now, that match, where would you put the blame apart from the coach? I think everybody that went into that field did their best. As I said, I'm not here to, this thing I'm taking from what I see with people I respect, that have passion for the game, that knows the game, that follows the game. And I think I will agree with them. Probably we lost that match tactically. Can we go in there and score the enough goals and win the next match and other things? Probably. But it's not likely. That's why I said we don't base it on luck, we don't base it on prayers. Yes, we might pray for that luck to come and everything else, but will base on performance. And that performance have to be nurtured through what years of investment and having the right people to look after the investments and have the right skills to administrate and to love this game and to be looking at the interests of the game. Now, if we are to think about the future, is about transparency, it's about accountability. When we talk about transparency, accountability, people think we are talking about politics on all the things, or if we talk about politics, we see it negatively. But everything we do in our life would involve politics. But again, other things are social. Society itself, how we are. That's why we need to find a way to do things for the future. That's why we have to be transparent, and we have to go back. And my position here is that continue to support the boys. They have done well to qualify. They went out there, they've done their best. Now, who else to be held accountable? Not the boys. The coach have to be held accountable. And did he run his best? Are we to look within, or are we still to look outwards? Do we have national coaches we need to try to nurture now to take it on, or whatever? These are decisions that people that know should be looking at. But we should look at our infrastructure development as well. Why did we fail? Why did Minister of Youth fail all the mini stadiums? Why GFF fail all the mini stadiums? How is GFF spending this money? Who are the people doing the administration? Now, this is the thing, or the government cannot interfere in football because politics. Yes, that's why I said the fellowship, the people are to hold GFF accountable. The people vote for, depend on their football committees or these things, vote for the people that goes on to represent you as the GFF executive. Now, if you fail there, we cannot blame the players for that. We fail ourselves. Because what do we consider for people we vote for should not be tribe. What we consider for people we vote for should not be regional. What we consider for people we vote for should not be political. The political party he supports, or because of this member of executive. That's what they did. Kababajo, look at the composition of Kababajo. He have politicians within. He have regional. It in a sense it's like inclusivity, but inclusivity for what? To capture power. To capture power to do what? To benefit himself and people around him, because he failed. They failed before, they were elected, now they fail again. But as I said, last time they did well, they want to take the glory from the boys. The youth sports did the same thing, but now they're all trying to run. Now what they do now, supporters of the youth sports will come and blame GFF. GFF supporters will blame the youth sports. And they will bring out excuse, government cannot interfere in football, no. But the government can do other things to look at how to restructure, to make sure where they can be effective, they are effective. Look at how we liberalize the football, how we use our tax incentive to give incentive to sports development, rather than tax people to death. These are the things we need to look at. End of the day, that's where it is. Thank you very much, guys. It's gone over the hour. I wanted to keep it to an hour, brief, but it's gone over the hour. We'll try to come back again for another program very soon. But as we said, we are behind the boys for their next match and forever. This is what we do as Gambians. We don't have to love football to be behind them. We are behind the flag. And that's why I see it a need to comment. As I said, I'm not commenting tactically in the field, but the socio-political aspect of it and the development of it, of football. That's why I'm commenting on. Thank you very much, guys, and we have a good evening. Thank you.